So we know that rice is one of those tricky grains. It's either going to come out just right or just sticky. Little closer, little closer. I'm about to spill the tea and tell you how to make some perfecto rice. First up, let's tackle long grain. That's going to be your jasmine, your basmati rice, those types of grains. The long grain rice that I'll be using today is a jasmine rice. You can also use basmati if you would like. It's all up in your preference. For the liquid, you can use water or you can use stock. Now for rice, it's always going to be either a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning that your liquid is going to be more than your rice. So for this one, I'm only using 1 cup of rice and 1.5 cup of liquid. Now, if I was using basmati rice, then I would use 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of liquid. And you'll notice in the second video how it will change. Now I will begin to add my 1.5 cups of water before I add my rice. Make sure that you measure to make sure that they're the accurate amounts. Once I add that, I'm going to add 1 cup of my dry rice, which I have measured out here. I'm going to pour that inside of my pot. And then I'm going to make sure that I break up the pieces. I'm not going to stir. I'm going to add a little salt or whatever other flavor that I want to add to my rice. I'm going to bring it to a boil and then I'm going to reduce it to a simmer. Now what I'm not doing is stirring. Notice how I'm separating the grains so they're not sticking right off top. Once it comes to a boil, make sure you reduce it down to a simmer. All stove tops are different, so make sure that you know how yours operates before you begin cooking rice. Now I'm going to cover it with the lid for about 15 minutes once I bring it down to a simmer, and I'm not going to disturb it. If I disturb it, that's when I start making it sticky. So at the 15-minute mark, I'm going to remove it from the heat. Now look, see how that separates? It's nice and it's loose. I'm going to cover it for 5 more minutes off of the heat and allow it to settle and sit. That way all of the liquid will drain away from the rice, leaving me a nice, wholesome, easy rice. Now look at this. It's not sticky. It makes a great side, or I can take and make it into a main dish. This is where you can add your vegetables, or you can saute some shallots and do some different things like that. If you want some recipes, make sure you like and follow, because I post plenty of them for different tips, tricks, and ideas that you can use with your rice. I hope that you have enjoyed seeing how easy it is to make jasmine rice. Remember, you can also do this with basmati or any other long grain rice that you choose to. It should not be sticky, as you see here, and it's going to be delicious depending on whatever flavor profile that you use to make your rice. Enjoy. Stay tuned. Now let's tackle the infamous short grain rice, which we all love, that nice sticky rice. And I even use it when I'm making like an Italian risotto or something that I'm creating like a Spanish paella dish. The possibilities are endless on what you can use short grain rice for. For this example, we're going to be using it in a sushi roll. And who doesn't love sushi? Yum. So I want to show you the sticky consistency that you get when you are cooking a short grain rice. So the ratio for this is going to always be a 2-to-1, meaning 2 parts of liquid, which I said you can use your broth or your stock or water, and then 1 part rice, which is going to be 1. As you see with the finished product, it's nice and sticky. For rolls, I'm going to have wet fingers as I apply it to the nori paper, and I want it to be nice and sticky. Now, I can eat this as a side if I want to go along with the dish, or as I mentioned before, I can put it in paella, risotto, whatever I want to do with it. For this particular example, I used sushi nori paper, and I will make a quick roll later with it, but it makes a great example of all the different things that you can do with this fabulous short grain, which is nothing more than when it cooks, it's going to be tender and it's going to be sticky, and more of the starch is released in it, which is why it's okay to stir this one. But now I want to start adding my liquid to my pot. So for this one, it's going to be 2 cups of water. I can use broth if I want to, but for this example, we're just going to use water. Now I want to go ahead and add my short grain to it. I've already measured out 1 cup, as you see here. I'm going to pour it inside, and just as I did with the long grain rice, with the short grain, I'm going to make sure that I bring it to a boil and reduce to a simmer. I'm going to add whatever type of flavor that I want to add. For this one, I'm just going to do a little bit of salt. But I'm going to bring it to a boil, reduce it to a simmer, cover it with a lid for about 15 minutes. And notice how sticky that it is. This is what I want. We are halfway there. I'm going to put the lid back on it again and make sure that I allow it to sit for another 5 minutes off of the heat. Now that we're going to check it after the 5-minute mark, because remember, we're going to cook it for 15 minutes on low heat. I'm going to remove it and allow it to sit. This allows all of the water to be absorbed into the rice, into your grain. And that way I have my finished product of my sticky rice. Thanks for hanging out in the kitchen with me today. Make sure you make a comment and let me know how you like today's recipe. So like, subscribe, and turn on that notification so you know the next time that we post a video. This is Chef Metisia, your taste bud decider. Until next time, be fabulous in the kitchen. Your short grain rice.